Welcome to the Cambridge Tech Podcast, talking all things technology from the heart of the UK's tech capital. Here are your hosts, Faye Holland and James Parton.
I'm Faye.
And I'm James. So we're back together.
Yay!
It seems like ages, doesn't it? But here we are.
Indeed. Have we missed each other?
I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
We kind of saw each other in the Bradfield, which was a bit weird. So yeah, that's a good sign, I guess, because we're like nearly 3 years into this and we're still excited to do it.
Yeah, and it was about a month, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we both it was good that we had continuous coverage, but it meant that we didn't see each other for quite a while, did we?
No. But did you enjoy your break?
Yes, I've been busy. So I went to Mallorca to get some sun. We went to Wimbledon to watch the tennis. I've been in Brighton, had my wedding anniversary. So yeah, there's been a lot going on. How about you?
So I was away, wasn't I, first over in Portugal, which was lovely. I read Essentialism. So I've come back with this whole new, I'm going to actually work in a certain way now. So we're going to see whether that one works. It was a bit like, do you remember the other year when my word of the year was easy? And that was the year I sold the business. So yeah, I'm not very good at these things. But yeah, so I obviously had that a couple of weeks off, and then honestly it's all jam packing as much in as possible. Do you remember when many years ago, this was certainly going back to IBM days, everything shut down internationally, everything shut down in the summer, and that doesn't happen anymore. It just seems to be going at the same. I'm longing for those days of quieter summers where you could maybe tidy your email or sort your paperwork out or something.
Yeah, no, totally. When I was working at Telefonica, I don't know if it's still the same, but in Spain in particular, we just shut down for 4 weeks. Nothing happened at all.
Yeah, maybe we should shut down for 4 weeks. Let's just make an edict now to everyone. Let's all just not work. Okay, yeah, that's not going to work, is it? Moving on swiftly. But no, I mean, work is brilliant. It's really buoyant. I mean, we hear a lot about how slow the investment market is, but there's huge appetite for getting stories out there at the moment. So that's really good. Means I'm recruiting like crazy, which is an additional challenge to have, I suppose. But I've spent quite a lot of time. It's summer, so the amount of summer parties and everyone squashing everything in. So you missed Cambridge Angels summer party.
Yeah, that was Wimbledon, I think.
Yeah, we had Cambridge Wide Open week and the epic Cambridge Wide Open day where the sun obviously shone again. The week before last, we had an event with Cambridge United Football Club. I put it on my social post. I absolutely loved it because, we get so transfixed on tech and science and how we want to be global leaders and make a real difference, and then you've got a club like Cambridge United Football Club that goes, actually we've got the same ambitions, they're slightly different, but actually we want to help and support people, we want to grow, we want to do better. And so that was really, I quite enjoyed that as an event and as a message. Foresight had the epic summer party where I always get vertigo because I can't do heights anymore. Reclinker had a new lab opening, so it's absolutely, Reclinker's the new name for Cambridge Electric Cement, and it was just lovely to see one of our startups starting to really grow, so that was great. And then last week was the CW members barbecue, which is always a joy. PM, they're celebrating this year their 150th year as a regional accountancy firm. So they had a lovely summer party. And then I got taken for a lovely lunch at the Ancient Shepherd. So this is very location specific here, but absolutely amazing restaurant with Mark Poynton as the chef. And the new owner, Gareth John, has actually just bought the business. So Gareth is quite a legend in and around Cambridge and accounting and recruitment and training and those types of areas. So yeah, it was it's been a busy few weeks. I think I've got one more this week, summer party that is, and then I think it does go quiet for a little while. So I don't know what my updates are going to be. It'll just be like, yeah, I've just worked really hard this week.
So you've drunk enough Pims to last you a lifetime over the last couple of weeks, have you?
No, honestly, casting aspersions on my drinking behaviours. How very dare you?
I would have thought that would be the drink of choice at these summer parties, but yeah.
No, well, no, I only drink water, don't you know, at summer party. I can't eat at at parties either, because I can't eat and speak. It'd just be carnage. So, just am I oversharing again? I'm never too sure. Oh dear. Anyway, so September is going to be on our doorsteps very, very soon. So I have to do a plug for Cambridge Tech Week. It is going to be epic. The tickets are starting to really fly out now. The programme's locking down. So not just for Cambridge, but for UK Tech. And the amount of international delegations that are coming in is amazing. So get your tickets is all I can say. cambridgetechweek.co.uk. But we'll talk about it, I'm sure, on a future episode, because we've both got different stints to do as well, haven't we?
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week, and we need to share some ideas we got for the podcast that week as well, once we've had some time to figure it out ourselves, but we'll share that soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get on with the news, shall we?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit of a quiet time at this point in the year for news stories, but we've got a couple to share. So the first one, manufacturing output in the east of England has grown by more than a fifth since 2019, according to research from BDO and Make UK. The report was called the Regional Manufacturing Outlook 2025, so you can go check that out to find the detail. But the east of England accounts for 9% of the UK's total goods exports. The manufacturing sector in the east of England contributes 228,000 highly skilled jobs, which is an additional 9,000 jobs since 2023, and represents 7% of the region's employment overall. The east of England is the UK's third largest region in terms of gross value add, GVA, and is the fourth highest manufacturing sector. The region's largest three manufacturing subsectors are pharmaceuticals at 15.2%, food and drink, which is 13.5%, and machinery equipment at 11.6%. So a few little data points there to get through.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We talked about manufacturing a little bit last week when we recorded the episode with Christoph from Illumian, and I know it's come up other times as well. So, again, we're known for science and technology prowess, but we've got this manufacturing capability across the east of England and in the region as well. So, it's kind of, I think it's really useful to be sharing those facts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there was the announcement of the winners of the Cambridge Social Innovation Prize for 2025. So this is companies creating positive social impact for individuals and communities in different parts of the UK through fashion, accessibility, training and entrepreneurship. The prize was awarded by Trinity Hall and the Cambridge Centre for Social Innovation at the University of Cambridge. And the prize includes a £10,000 cash award for personal and professional development. Additionally, mentoring from experts from the Cambridge Social Ventures at Cambridge Judge Business School and support from an ever-expanding community of social innovators at Trinity Hall, which will help them develop the skills, the resources and the networks they need to create more impact from their work.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that that's something Anne Bailey from Form the Future has won it in the past as well. So, it really does help. So this year's winners were Sol Escobar, founder and CEO of Give Your Best, an innovative social enterprise tackling both clothing poverty and fashion waste via one circular platform. Second was Charlie Fraser, co-founder of Turn, the entrepreneurial refugee network, a social venture set up to enable refugees to rebuild their livelihoods through entrepreneurship. Abdirahim Hassan, founder of Coffee Africa, reimagining community spaces and co-producing culturally sensitive public health projects rooted in care, love and liberation. And finally, Matt Pieri, founder and CEO of Sociability, a disability tech company helping disabled people find accessible places.
Fantastic. Well, congrats to everyone on that list. So shall we jump on to today's episode?
Let's do that. So we spoke with Sabesan Sithamparanathan, who is founder and president of PervasID, hot on the heels of the launch last week of Trackmaster 3XWH, their real-time inventory tracking system at RFID Journal Live in Vegas. Hi, Sabasan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So, as James will kind of laugh at me for, I get a guest on and I'm going to give you an intro talking about me for a moment. So, just like totally random here. But a little bit of background, we were introduced by David Gill probably a couple of years ago. And I was super interested straight away in your work because years ago, so I'm going back to 2003, I was appointed as Global RFID lead at IBM. And it was kind of hilarious because when I was asked, will I do the job, I didn't even know what RFID stood for, which is, a whole different conversation. So I'm definitely interested in this conversation that we're going to have because it ticks loads of those boxes from decades ago. But before we go into the tech and help everyone understand what RFID does, let's find out a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about who you are and the journey that got you to PervasID.
Sure. I born and brought up in Sri Lanka. And after my A-levels in Sri Lanka, we follow the similar system to the UK education system. So after A-level from high school, I came to the UK. So that's completely foreign to me. New cultures, new weather, new language, everything is completely different. But I think that set me up in the right way to build a very strong resilience in me, which later helped me with my entrepreneurship skill set, which I'll come back to. So I arrived here for bachelor on a degree at Sheffield University, did a 3-year course there. Came to Cambridge from Sheffield straight after then. Haven't left Cambridge ever since. So I've been here more than 17 years now in Cambridge.
And you came to Cambridge not just because the weather was better than Sheffield?
No,
right?
it's simply because I really wanted to make a difference in innovation and technology and science. And Cambridge was the number one in the UK. And therefore, always had a passion to pursue my studies at Cambridge. And Cambridge is what truly changed me. When I came to Cambridge, I was a normal individual, but had a talent in science and technology, I must say. I was one of the top students at Sheffield. So I had the talent, but talent and skill doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in your career path. It doesn't mean that you're going to really make a difference in our society. But when I walked into Cambridge, and when you see in places like Sir Isaac Newton's and Charles Darwin and all these 90+ Nobel Prize winners, places where they walked on the same street, and when you walked in, naturally, you will have that empowerment, that inspiration, and making you to do something, at least a little small thing to the society. And that inspiration, that empowerment really made me to really not only work hard, but also truly wanted to make a difference in our society. And so the rest was the history. I pursued 3-year PhD at Cambridge, and that was in a just 8 hours per day PhD. It was almost in some times I'll be working 48 hours in my PhD laboratory because you have that burning fire to truly want to make a difference in this field. And that what allowed me to invent things which we'll come back to innovation in my RFID technology. And when you have invention, it feels like you have a baby. And when you have a baby, you want to truly do the best for the baby. And that what led me to really, truly create PervasID, which was my invention turned into a business. And then how do you take the business from the lab to market is the rest of the story.
At what point were you on that PhD journey that you went, actually, what I've got here could be a business? Was it right from the outset or did it just evolve?
No. That's a really good question because at the start of my PhD, I also used to meet investment bankers, people like JP Morgan Stanley, because I was inspired by getting the highest paid graduate job, to be completely honest with you. But during my PhD, what really changed is that I was able to truly invent something which has shown that is unique and has a outstanding USP, unique selling point, and is something that the market going to pay for it. And the way I have validated that by carrying out a number of MBA projects with Cambridge Business School. And that had an independent view, not only because when we invent, we're always going to be biased towards us, say, hey, I've invented something new and something amazing. But does it really going to make a difference to the problem, to the society? Are we truly solving the business problems? Is the customers going to pay for that, the solution you created? And truly, is that has a unique selling point? If none of these tick the box, I would have left Cambridge University to truly pursue this entrepreneurship career. But having validated this with the Cambridge Judge Business School MBA projects by some experienced MBA students, truly then allow me to take a view that I could to take this calculated risk of taking the technology from lab to market.
Yeah, and we're going to come on to that in a moment. But just before we do, let's just level set the audience on what RFID is.
Sure. So RFID stands for Radio Frequency Identification. In fact, it was invented by the British during Second World War. So it's been around for 70 plus years. But having said that, although it's been around for a long time, it has not really been taken off in the way we all expected, which I'll come back and explain why that was the case and how I managed to solve it. But in a nutshell, the way it works is that you can wirelessly transmit signals. Similar way you do that when you talk over your mobile phone. When you talk on your mobile phone, when you say, hi, how are you? What happened? The mobile phone has antennas similar to what you have up in your ceiling in your house, Jackie antenna. In your mobile phone, it's a really tiny little small antenna. And that antenna transmits signals. We call that electromagnetic signals. And that signal can be converted into electrical power or current. Those are the things we use to power up these battery-free RFID tags. And therefore, when they get powered, they can then communicate with us. And therefore, you can wirelessly, remotely track any item by attaching these RFID tag to any object. It could be a clothing item in a shops, it could be a medical device in a hospital, or it could be a tools in an aircraft. It could be anything. And the promise RFID offer over the next 10 to 20 years to come, you could potentially track every single object on the planet because it doesn't have a battery, because you can make this ultra low cost, 2-3 cents per tag, you could track every single object on the planet over the years to come.
That's great. And thanks for the grounding in the kind of RFID sense of things. And I loved the passionate introduction and the excitement of being in Cambridge and the inspiration from all the people that have gone before. So why don't we move on and talk more specifically about your invention and how you've built on top of that standard and where that kind of USP that you started to talk about comes in. So can you walk us through your invention and what you've developed in the product?
Absolutely. So my research was truly focused on, initially, to solve loss luggage in airports. It was sponsored by the Boeing company and the UK Research, EPSRC Research Council. And the focus was, back then, lost luggage was costing £400 million to airlines. So if you're a passenger, you are traveling around the world, if your luggage either get lost or delayed or misrouted, you can claim compensation. And that was costing them £400 million. That's a lot of money. And not only that, but also they wanted to track passengers, because passengers being late to the gate, which causes aircraft turnaround delay. All of these contributing significant billions of pounds to these airports and airlines. And so I've been set to solve this business problem. So in Cambridge, especially in science-related project, we're trying to understand the market problem we're trying to solve. In my case, well-defined, this is airport problem we want to solve. The next thing we are, as a good researcher, we want to understand the state of art, because this problem been around for a long time. And so how other researchers around the world have tried to solve this before us. And so the more you understand that, the better you're going to solve in a different way. And so my PhD supervisor really taught me how to do a piece of research. And so I truly understood the state of art and understand how other people have tried to solve this by using often active technology. When I say active technology, meaning they are battery-powered electronic devices. For example, it could be AirTags. Apple AirTags cost you $30 per AirTag. You could put them on a luggage. Hey, here you go. You could track every single luggage. But clearly, they are far too expensive. You couldn't put $30 tag on every single luggage. That's going to be not scalable and not going to give you the ROI all these airlines looking for. And another way of solving that, you could have a BLE tag or you can have a Wi-Fi tag. All of these are battery-powered technologies. A, far too expensive. B, they require maintenance because typically the battery will only last 3 to 5 years. Now, the other way of tackling this is that you're trying to solve this problem with a battery-less, battery-free technology. If we can solve it, then you are truly transforming this problem because A, if you are battery-free, there is no maintenance required, meaning that the solution will last forever, hundreds of years. And B, you can make it ultra-low cost, typically 2 to 3 cents per electronic tag. But the challenge of solving that is not easy because they are battery-free, which means somehow you have to provide electrical power, electrical current, because we know that nothing would work without electrical current. And so how do you really provide electrical power or electrical current to these battery-free tags so that you can communicate with them? By communicating with them, you can then therefore track either luggage or passengers or whatever that these electronic tags attach to. So I invented a advanced signal processing with AI and machine learning innovations, whereby we can use the signal to create a coherent interference pattern and destructive interference pattern to solve so-called blind spot and dead spot. And these blind spot, dead spot occur within buildings because signals are reflecting from multiple directions. You would have come up with the same problem with your mobile phone. And sometimes you would have seen in your mobile phone, the signal bars are almost very close to zero. What they're telling you is a blind spot, dead spot, where the direct signals are canceling out with the reflected signals. For example, the direct signals, let's say, give you 1, reflection give you -1. So as we all know, 1 minus 1 gives 0 sum. And that's what we call that in simple term, blind spot, dead spot. And so in the case of cellular network, in the case of mobile phone, when you have a dead spot, we, as a human being, move away from the blind spot to get a better coverage. But in the case of luggage or fixed asset or medical devices or whatever, they're not going to walk around. They don't have legs. And so how do we really solve that? So I invented a way in which we able to move this blind spot around. And that invention described in my 300-page of my PhD thesis and described in 100-page of my patents, which I filed while I was a PhD student at Cambridge. And today, that is a worldwide granted patent, enable us to truly solve this challenge in the case of passive battery-free RFID technology.
So in terms of the actual commercial implementation of this, whilst this was triggered by the luggage in airports problem, you've actually kind of started to focus in a completely different sector now, right? It's more of a retail-based solution. So do you want to kind of walk us through that evolution in thinking and finding that kind of market opportunity and how that's developed?
Totally. So once we got this solution, so the invention then turned into a product and solution. We then shape up the product as a near 100% accurate wide area solution. So we could cover any area, any building size, still achieving 99+% inventory accuracy as well as 1 meter location accuracy. So we could locate down to like a GPS within 1 meter radius where each and every item is. Now, having got this solution, having got this product, the next question we ask ourselves as an entrepreneur, where is that low-hanging use cases are? Where is the addressable market size is large enough for us to truly put our each and every effort in it? And so having done the market research, we have seen the retail is the largest addressable market, immediate or early adapter market, but also is the market where the retailers are willing to pay for the solution in a real clear needs. And so we currently truly focusing on retail as our number one market. But having said that, we also still distribute and deploy our solution into aerospace and healthcare, which I'll come back in a second to talk about. But starting with the retail problem we're trying to solve is that theft has increased to over 100 billion annually to the retailers. People are stealing, whether it's the customers or the staff, and stealing item increased to $100 billion in retail. Not only theft, but also out of stock. You are walking into a store, whether it's a clothing store, you're looking for a particular size of the color of the item, whether it's a merchandise or whatever that, simply is not there. It's not available on the shelf. And if it's not there, you're not simply going to waste your time. You're going to go to that next store and buy these items. So potentially out of stocks, meaning that the retailers are potentially losing the sales opportunities. And so according to the US survey, 40% of the customers in retails are not satisfied with the item available in the retail store. So trying to solve all these problems using our real-time hands-free inventory tracking enable us to enable the retailer to ensure 99 plus available item on shelf. So we can improve real-time replenishment, because conventionally retailer can all do replenishment maybe weekly, relying on old data, because they don't have near 100% accurate full visibility of what item they have in the sales area, what in the stockroom, and what's in the warehouse. But by using our technology, by having this system up in the ceiling in every single retail store, we could provide real-time replenishment. Therefore, before any customer walking into the store, they ensure that the right item, the right size, the right color available to the customer. Not only that, real-time replenishment, but also enable them omni-channel. These days, the people's shopping habit have changed from in-person shopping to online orders and over the phone. That means if you really want to enable this omni-channels, you got to have a near 100% accurate full-time visibility of what stock you have and where, so that you can truly enable omni-channels orders and fulfillment.
And just to dig a little bit deeper into one of those things, because as I understand it, I mean, shrink is massive in retail, that so that's a huge tick. And stock availability, yes, but isn't it true that with your technology, it's if I go into a shop and I pick something up and then I've walked around the shop and I've decided I don't want it, I can put it down, but your technology can pick it up within the shop floor as well. So whereas you don't think they've got your size, actually they have. Is that correct?
You could also locate each and every merchandise within 1 meter radius.
Yeah, okay.
So therefore, let's say, for example, you're looking for a medium-sized items, a t-shirt, top, red color or whatever, which the system will able to say the previous customer has misplaced in another area, is right there. So the staff will go and quickly locate it for you. Within a minute, you'll have what you are looking for in the store, as long as the item is in the store. So we can also go and find it like a GPS. You can go and find it within the store anytime in real time.
And is it also checkout? Can it go right the way through to you've found it and then you can go through to checkout without going to a...
So that's the ultimate goal. How do we create the true Amazon Go? I think Amazon have tried to do that in the past. I don't think that has been rolled out globally for obvious reason with their image recognition and video technologies. But with this sort of innovation, combining with cameras, we can truly then enable a true unmanned store where you can buy whatever you want, walk out the checkout, and so there's no time involved whatsoever doing the shopping in stores. So we call that smart retail. This is the future of retail. This is going to be the next years to come. We will be living in a different customer experience. We'll be living in a different future of retail.
I've just got a couple of clarification questions as well before we move on to the next question. So are you thinking of this as more like a merchandising thing, so the tag is applied once it's in the store, or are you tracking the whole supply chain from like the manufacturing of the item all the way through to delivery to merchandising? Like where in the process is the tag applied?
Very good question. So the tag applied at the source. Okay. So whoever the supplier of that particular brand to the retailer, the supplier has to apply the tag at the point of manufacturing. Right. So we are tracking all the way to the point of manufacturing, the distribution center to the store, right, all the way to the point when the item gets sold to the end customer.
Perfect. And you talked about them being a couple of cents. So, but what are we talking about in terms of size, weight? Are these wafer thin, kind of tiny little?
So in retail, these tags are embedded inside the price label. So if you walk into any of these stores, for example, Mark & Spencer clothes or Tesco F&M clothes, many other retailers in the UK, you're walking in and looking at the price label next time, you will see a little tiny electronic chip in there. And it's a really small centimeter size of a small tag embedded inside the price label. So by having this solution in retail, the retailers can achieve an observed 5 to 10% sales uplift because of the better on-sale availability, because of better enhanced omni-channels, resulting in 5 to 10% sales uplift. And that therefore, they're able to get the ROI within 6 to 8 months.
So that's impressive that you can demonstrate that ROI for retailers straight away. You also mentioned aerospace and healthcare. What are the kind of scenarios that you've got working with those areas?
Aerospace certainly also very close to my heart because that's where my inventions all started, referring back to our loss luggage challenge in airport I was trying to solve. And today, I can clearly tell you, one of the largest airlines in the world are rolling out this solution for luggage tracking. And not only that, in aerospace, we are also deploying this solution for FOD, foreign object debris use case, in plane manufacturers such as Boeing and Airbus. The challenge Boeing and Airbus and many other plane manufacturers have, we call that FOD, foreign object debris, where these small tools being left behind inside the plane, inside the engine, when they do either assembly of those planes or maintenance repair. When they do regular maintenance repair, often these tools left behind the plane. And that is a massive safety risk for these planes. And that costs this industry $13 billion every year through direct and indirect costs, inefficiency in fuels, and flight being delayed, and so on and so forth. And so we today track every single devices, including small sockets and tools for these plane manufacturers. And this has been deployed worldwide, not only in the US, but also in Europe, where we can ensure that we achieve 100% accuracy. Because achieving 99% accuracy of these tracking tools still not good enough, because if you have 1,000 tools, you're going to miss 10 tools. And so you got to have literally 100% accuracy of knowing what tools were so that they could ensure no tools are left behind the plane. Now, turning into healthcare, this is also a very exciting use case because often in the UK, NHS trusts lease medical devices because medical devices are often capex intense. And typically, they don't know 30% of the medical devices where they are in hospital. And typically a 500-bed or 600-bed NHS Trust hospital typically will have around 30,000 medical devices. And that means 30% of those 30,000 medical devices worth £1 million to these NHS Trusts. And that is a single NHS Trust. In the UK, you got around 250 NHS Trusts. If you multiply the number, it is a $500 million problem. That is just the UK country, and there are 195 plus countries in the world. And so this is a $100 billion problem we're trying to solve, just tracking medical devices. Not only tracking medical devices, being able to track patients, being able to track staff and doctors and nurses and everyone within the hospital, we could also provide the best service and the best efficiency, meaning that we could also save people's lives. And so that's invaluable. And so today we are deploying these solutions to Hyde and St. Thomas Hospital in London. But not only in the UK, the solutions are also been deployed in European hospital. And now we also started to deploy in the US hospital for tracking medical devices as well as surgical instruments within the hospital.
And that's really impressive because that's all. It used to be you'd have to have an active ID tag to be able to do that when the value of things go higher. But obviously the technology, and your technology specifically, has moved on so much that you can do at volume, low cost with passive now.
And that's what has transformed the healthcare, because the healthcare is always find it difficult to fund all these various projects with the new technologies. But today we're able to achieve all these performance, which was only previously possible with active technology, Wi-Fi or BLE or active RFID. Today we're able to achieve all of those with the battery-free technology, which only costs 2 or 3 cents per tag, and transform the whole healthcare industry, and which is why the hospital now excited about tracking every single item within the hospital to truly improve their efficiency and to also save people's lives.
Okay, so we've talked about the product, we've talked about the use cases. Why don't we talk about the company? So I'm going to put my research on Bowhurst to test here. So the company's actually been around for a while, 14 years. So I'm sure you've got some real interesting insights on terms of building the company and scaling it over that time. Bowhurst says you've done 6 fundraisers, secured 7 grants. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but you've been through a lot. So what does that journey look like as an entrepreneur and some of the kind of highs and lows over that time period?
Very good question. So although I founded the business in 2011, when I graduated from Cambridge University as a PhD student, I've remained in Cambridge as an enterprise fellow, as a research fellow at Curtin College initially, to continue to turn that lab demonstrator into a product. Because in your PhD, you clearly create something which new inventions and everything works in the lab. But to take the things works in the lab to real world, it takes a number of iterations. And so my first 5 years while at the university focus on turning that lab demonstrator into alpha prototype and beta prototype and into a full-born product launch. And that happened in 2016. So I left Cambridge University in 2016 to really start carrying the team and really start taking investment and to really take this technology to the real world. So we've been trading since 2016. So it's been 9 years since trading. And as you know, everything takes longer than you think on your business plan. And typically the investors say it takes twice as much as you think on your plan. But I'm pleased to say that today we have retailers have deployed this solution, not in one single country in the UK, over 40 plus countries. These retailers have deployed our solution. So if you walk into these retailers, you will be able to look up the ceiling and able to see my systems, which I invented at Cambridge, today been deployed, today been used. And that is truly rewarding. And that feeling you get is totally different. So not only in retail, but also this solution been deployed globally in aerospace. Why people like Boeing and Airbus? Why people like airlines? And not only that, but also in healthcare, which is where is potentially saving people's life.
I mean, it's impressive because you're in multiple countries, you're in multiple industries, multiple use cases. How have you approached the go-to-market, the kind of sales side of things? Because are those skills you developed? Have you brought in salespeople into your organization to help you enter those markets? How have you approached the commercial side of things?
No, that's a very good question. So that's always a challenge for any startup, is that you got amazing product, amazing invention. How do we really then get the low-hanging customers? How do you then get the early adapter customers? And in my case, our early adapter customers initially was aerospace, now turn into more in retail. Now, then the question you ask yourself, what's your go-to-market strategy? Do you sell direct or do you sell through resellers and distributors and partners? Now, if you want to sell direct, that means you got to build a team with thousands of employees, or a larger team with a lot more investment. And still you risk the fact that you don't have a customer connection. If you get the right reseller strategy, clearly it's not straightforward and easy. Otherwise, many people would have done it easily. But if we have the right reseller partner strategy, that it's a bit quicker. And that is mean you could build a team, more of a lean team, where the heavy lifting going to be done by the partner companies. So in our case, we have worked with sales colleagues and employed sales colleagues and advisors and board members and others to really help us shaping up this strategy, where we have decided to go with a partner strategy, where if I take retail, PervasID's strategy is to work with the leading retail partners who are already in the retailer space, who already have the customers. Between those retailers we are currently partnering, they own 90% of the retail customers. So I don't need to focus on the last 10%, because if we can get 10% of the 90% of the customer, hey, you're making $1 billion already. And so our strategy to work with these 90% of those market owned by these 4 or 5 partners in retail space and resell through them. So essentially, PervasID become a technology provider and the partner doing the installation and maintenance and support and the heavy lifting. In that way, this is a much more scalable solution where you could scale globally, and that's what we have done, which enable us to now deploy over 40 plus countries and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive, Sabasan. Thank you for sharing those insights with us. I kind of want to move on to something a little bit more personal now, if I may. You mentioned earlier on you're a fellow at Girton. You're also a fellow at the Royal Academy of Engineering and the Institution of Engineering and Technology. And you've always been this really strong advocate for STEM education, which also earned you an OBE. So congratulations on that. But, you know, you've got a great business, you know, you've got absolute passion for it, but you're also doing this work on STEM. How do you balance all of that? And what drives your commitment to keep doing that?
Really excellent questions. Giving back is always been important to me. I think that's possibly because of my background. Coming from a very humble background from Sri Lanka, which is a challenging times because of we had all these challenges, not only in civil war, but also in the country itself. It's a challenge. So the education was the only tool for us to excel. And when you do that, you take on many advisors and many mentors and many people have helped me along the way to get where I managed to get to. And that means you naturally want to give back to the society to create many of you. And that is why I also giving back to the society. And that means that not only to the UK society, but also to Sri Lanka. So today, I promote the STEM educations and entrepreneurship, not only in the UK, but also to Sri Lanka, place where I came from. Now, you asked a very important question. How do you really do all these multiple tasks in your 24 hours in a day? Now, clearly, you do prioritize your tasks saying, hey, business comes first, being completely honest, which you would expect me to say that. But when you have the spare time, because there are still 24 hours in a day, and plus you got a weekend, you really then prioritize the time, manage the time such that in your lesser time, you can truly try to help others and others' lives, and so that they can also succeed like you are. And which is what I do, not only being a fellow at Curtin College, not only being a fellow at the Royal Academy of Engineering, where I also meet with the governments as well as shadow ministers to really advise them how should the education should be by 2030 and 2040. Because if I look back now, where we are today with this education, with the AI moving into this space, I think the education need to be completely different for the next 10 years to come. We need to be smarter. The next generation students need to be even smarter with the education. And therefore, I have the passion to really contribute to that. Having achieved this much, is the time to really make an influence in our society. And been grateful to the UK governments and the Royal for honouring me that OBE, which truly means a true honour.
It sounds like we need to get you back on and have an episode around education and AI and STEM. That would be an interesting conversation as well. But just wrapping things up, you've got a lot going on. You've clearly got momentum in the business, which is fantastic. What's the priority look like for the next 12 months?
So for us, the PervasID, the focus is to scale. We are now in a scale-up space. Every business goes through a number of phases, and we are now in a scale-up space. How do we truly scale this into become a unicorn business? And so we are on that laser focus to truly build this business, a scalable business worldwide, continue to scale, and one day PervasID become a unicorn. And that is my vision, and that's the dream, and that's what we are all working towards for the next many years to come.
We certainly wish you the best of luck to get to that status. You've certainly got the passion, and the expertise to do it. And let's face it, every time we're in a retail outlet or the airport or a hospital, we're probably very close to your technology. So we wish you all the best of luck, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Today's show was produced by Carl Homer of Cambridge TV and supported by our media partner, Business Weekly. The Cambridge Tech Podcast is available on all major podcast platforms and on cambridgetechpodcast.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give it a 5-star review. It'll really help others discover the show.